Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. You're going to have to excuse me as I look away from the screen and continue to get this set up. Right before I ended up going live at the regular scheduled time, which was about 20 minutes ago, I ended up having people reach out to me about a terrorist threat over inside the Dallas-Fort Worth region. That involves 12 area schools and also the Dallas Galleria Mall. So just FYI that's going on, and I'm going to explain that to you. I'm going to break it down for you here in just a little bit. And I'll let you guys know, as before I go and I play all this stuff for you guys, there is obviously a cause for concern every single time something like this comes out. Yes, law enforcement is currently tracking it. The appropriate law enforcement agencies are currently tracking it. And until, in my opinion, you get an all clear from those law enforcement agencies, you should take all of these threats seriously. And I'm sure at some point they will come out and issue that in the near future. But until then, I need to let you guys know what's going on for the protection of you, your children, and everybody else. Before we get into that, and down the road, I'm going to let you guys know that we also have a massive uprising over inside of Iran. As you guys know, I've been tracking that for quite some time. And yeah, I kind of think that all this stuff is intertwined because, again, Russia, right, is involved when it goes to the collapse of Iran. Russia is involved when it goes to collapse of Venezuela. All of these are problems. And Russia also is involved when we start talking about Greenland, which Marco Rubio announced the U.S. wants to purchase this year. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and play the video for you on this terror threat and then go over some of the information about it so that you guys are better prepared for that until we get into the show. Again, take it seriously until you get the all clear from the authorities.
Many people will die. We will kill in every way possible. Shooting, bombing, cutting. We will be as cruel as possible. We do not care about gender or age. We will not spare anyone. We are more than 200. Many people will die. We will kill in every way possible. Shooting, bombing, cutting. We will be as cruel as possible. We do not care about gender or age. We will not spare anyone.
Okay, so that is the video that was put out that goes along with this. Obviously, ended up getting put out and shared up over on TikTok, warning the Dallas-Fort Worth region. Then we've got this that ended up coming out of a Telegram channel as well. It says, Flester is in touch. This is our last photo. We are fully prepared to kill children. We are 20 people. We will come to schools and start shooting children. Wait for us in your schools. Just want to throw that one out there as well. All right. So that you guys are aware and tracking on that. And yeah, there's that. So that's one part of it. They also, that's included in here, ended up including a list of all of the schools that they're talking about. Schools and educational institutions where we will come: Andrews Elementary, Baranoff Elementary, Barrington Elementary, Lake Dallas High, South Hills High, Arlington Heights High, Castleberry High, Nolan Catholic High, Watson High, Timer Creek High, Eagle Mountain High, RMA Fort Worth Public School, Diamond Hill Jarvis High School, and North Crowley High School. There are 20 of us. We are armed. We are going to kill a lot of children. Next screenshot I have for you guys is this. It actually comes off of a video where they purport to show an explosive device. I'm kind of hit or miss on whether or not it's a viable device, but nonetheless, you have to take it seriously. It says our participants will go to the mall with a bomb, Galleria Dallas. We will blow up all of the people in the Galleria. The bomb will go off in a couple of hours. Powerful explosion will kill a lot of people. And the clock on the bomb blinks back and forth towards 9/11. And yeah, you guys can hear a Russian accent on there. A friend of mine actually told me what group this is. And that, again, that is a trusted friend. Have no reason to think otherwise. That this group likely is not going to be a threat, that they are not based inside of the United States. But nonetheless, with everything that's ticking up around the world, this actually goes in line with things that I've been telling you about, with a mass shooting event that was scheduled to take place in the Texas area with about, what did I say, 15 to 20 people, I think is what I heard beforehand, breaking up into several different cells. So that's the additional issue that I have when it goes to taking this thing seriously. Isn't the Uvalde, Texas shooting trial happening right now? It's possible. I don't know. Not following that whatsoever. I don't know anything about that trial. But what I do know is what I just told you guys. And again, from my source, my friend that I trust on this matter, individual is likely not in the United States of America. But again, please take this seriously until you hear otherwise from authorities. If you guys are down in that region, you guys deserve to know that these things are out there and they exist. And just so you know, believe it or not, things like this do surface all of the time in the United States of America. Threats like this in order to sow chaos over here in the States. But it also goes right along with what I've been telling you guys for the last, I don't even know how long, 6 months or so, that what you are seeing is Russia and China and Iran that are infiltrating their way into the United States in order to cause mass chaos. All right. And I warned you guys the other day that if you're worried on, January 1st, December, Christmas time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, if you guys are worried about those timeframes, you guys are looking for, I don't know, your typical 9/11 style bomber, we'll throw that out there. You're probably barking up the wrong tree these days because everything has changed. Right, the way we go about all of this crap has ended up changing. With that being said, I'm going to leave that be just so that you guys know there's no point in beating a freaking dead horse. That's out there, and you guys are now aware of it. Feel free to share this with your family, friends, etc. as we go about it. Now, over inside of Tehran, this is actually what I was going to open up with, is a video before all that came out and had to do some digging. But prior to all of that coming out, this was actually a video I was going to open with about what's going on over inside of Iran, because Iran is getting freaking overran right now. I mean, completely and totally overran. So far today, we've had 2 cities that appear to be confirmed that have actually been toppled. The regime has been completely and totally kicked out of it. The police have defected, have joined the protesters, and it looks like they have fallen, which is freaking great. Overnight, last night, got this video for you guys of a civilian just beating the freaking brakes off of a dang policeman or a security official from the regime. Dude just tackles him, knocks his helmet off, and just beats the brakes off him with a freaking swagger stick. Look at that go. Look at that guy. Woo! Beating the crap out of him. So these scenes are unfolding across pretty much every major city over inside of Iran, and they're getting out of control. Now, if we want to, before we get into more bad stuff, because I know that I just threw a huge freaking bomb for a lot of you guys that are down in Texas. So before we get into more bad stuff, I want to throw this out there as well. I had a friend send this to me earlier today. I was like, that sounds like an enlisted guy in the military. Somebody was like, it's got to be a member of Congress. I'm like, nope. Sounds like a dude on a ship that heard something was going down and bet his enlistment bonus on it. Somebody made $400,000 profit by betting $32,000 that Maduro would get captured by the end of January over on Polymarket. According to this article that's up on your screen, this individual bet $32,000 just hours before Trump gave the order to execute, to go in and take out Maduro. That sucker bet $32K over on Polymarket that Maduro would not be in power come the end of January. Hours later, he's almost $500,000 deep in frickin' profits, whoever you are. Now, I said, if it's the military, congrats, man. More power to you. Hell of a power play. You figured out how to work the system. Good on you, because the big green we is going to come for you anyways. But if it's a member of Congress or the president or any of his staff or anybody like that, maybe they should be impeached. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that one. I feel like I'm a little bit biased on this, but at the same time, I'm like, dude, I mean, can't argue with the results. You know what I mean? Can't argue with the results. Just throwing that one out there. All right. So hopefully you guys feel a little better now with that news. Now I got to bring this up to you guys. This is the scene that continues to unfold across Iran. We're going on day 10 into day 11 over inside of Iran today. And what you're about to witness is just the chaos on the streets that we're going to be breaking down for you. So what are you guys witnessing on the scene right there? Well, what you're seeing is a bunch of protesters with nothing other than crap that they can swing or crap that they can throw going over and beating the freaking crap out of regime forces. Ladies and gentlemen, this stuff is going down all around Tehran. This is going down on the western portion of the country, the eastern portion of the country, the southern portion of the country, all sorts of stuff. All sorts of stuff. This is all going down over there. So it is not no longer a little problem. It is a big problem. Now, the Iranian regime says that they have basically crushed all of the freaking violence, that they're taking care of it. That's just simply not the case. All right. Again, you have 2 cities that have fallen so far where you've had the police that have actually defected and have joined up with the protesters, which I might as well show you guys that right now before I get into it. I don't even know if I have it in my stack, but I absolutely need to show you guys where all this unfolded at. So let me get that up for you. Boom. Right up here on your screen. All right. These cities, I'm gonna screw up the name of them, but they're just to the east of Baghdad, right across the border. And everything you guys see in red up there on your screen, that spine that runs right down the middle, is going to be the border in between Iraq and Iran. And that is, everything in red is Kurdish territory. And those 2 green stars right up there in the middle, those are the ones which are reported to have fallen. All right, that is now free of regime forces. And they're both Kurdish cities. Imagine that. DMVC says, what makes this different than all of the previous protests that have happened in 2022, 2018, and 2019? In my opinion, from what I've seen, we have now 2 cities that have fallen to the Kurds. So the Kurds have taken 2 cities. And earlier today on this morning's live, I ended up playing a video of the Kurds saying, now is the time, and that's it. We are rising up. We are done with this crap. This is it. Now, the thing that kind of astonishes me about this, which is why I think we have more international forces behind this one, is, before, when the regime would cut off the internet, we really wouldn't get crap out of the country. Yeah, some stuff would leak out via VPNs, right? But it wasn't really that much information. It was like the country went dark. We didn't see crap. Right now, we're seeing not a lot of videos, but we're getting way more, in my opinion, than we have in the past. Way more than we have in the past. That video, or that image that I have on that screen down there in the bottom left corner, that chair that gentleman's sitting in came out of the freaking mayor's office. All right. So like they went in, busted into the government building and took the head chair, brought it on the street, burnt a bunch of the other crap that was inside of there. And now they're good to go. In my opinion, what we're actually seeing here, and don't pay attention to the explosions that are up on the screen over in Kurdistan. That's just, I ripped an old article that had Kurdistan marked out, so I didn't have to waste my time doing it myself. All right. But the 2 green cities, those are the important ones that have fallen and that the Kurds are now in control of. I can go back, I can find the video of the Kurdish guy holding an AK shouting that they got 24 hours before they take over, but boom, there it is. All right. They're doing it. And in my opinion, this is where it's at. We also have numerous cities where there's reports that you have police stations that have been overran, and you have Iranians that have armed themselves. There's some videos of what sounds like gunfights taking place, but not a lot. And you have lots of videos that are out there of people that are running from the regime with gunfire being heard in the background. All right. Other big thing over at all the main big bazaars over inside of Tehran, I was sharing a lot of that information this morning. You had people, I mean, by the thousands that were over there, and the regime was crushing them. Came in with tear gas and just freaking went to dang town on them. All right. Where'd this one go? I ended up making a graphic earlier and putting it out, and I got a feeling that it pissadeered off my timeline, and that sucks because it was a good graphic. There we go. There it is for you guys. Right outside of Tehran, and I've got the video for you guys coming up here in just a second, but right outside of Tehran, about 23 miles from downtown, or 37 kilometers, there is people that were literally taking freaking Molotov cocktails. Like, these guys had a pile of them. At first, I thought it was an AI video, and then I watched it a couple times, and I was like, nope, it's not. But the Islamic City Council building, bro, they torched that sucker. I mean, they torched it with freaking Molotovs. Check this out. Watch this. Again, I'll tell you why I don't think it's AI. Some people think it is, but I don't think it is, and we'll talk about it here in just a sec.
Verin. Pure. O Rafti, Juna, verin.
All right, so here's why I don't think it's AI. This guy right here, Watch this guy on the right as he goes to chuck the Molotov. Boom, right there. You guys see all that? That ends up going down the ground. Now, if AI was making this video, I highly doubt they would have had a leaky Molotov cocktail video that goes on the ground. For those of you guys that haven't made them before, they're not the easiest things to make, but they kind of are. You got to have, well, I guess you don't have to have an appropriate mixture, but you probably should. But I mean, this looks like something out of damn Grand Theft Auto. These guys are picking up 1 or 2 bottles at a time. They have a pile there. And when you see that one guy on the far right side of the screen wield that bottle back and like whip it over behind him, you see a bunch of freaking fuel fly out the side of it. Yeah, you're dang right. That's real. That's a real video. That is an absolute real video. As far as I can tell, and I went over search, I had numerous like AI platforms check it to see if it was AI. None of them come back and say, yep, that's AI. 100% real. And when you take a look at the location of where that sucker went down at, dude, it's again, you're talking right there. I mean, there's Tehran right there. And here's where it went down at over in Karaj. That's damn close, dude, to have that many people out there torching a freaking Islamic council building, right? What do they call it? The Islamic City Council building. That's freaking nuts. Over in Fardis, in Karaj, you have more issues that ended up taking place. So you had that was going down, like I had showed you. And then, allegedly, they have martial law coming in. And so the regime is doing their absolute best. And I think this is why some of those towns down in the east, and by the way, before I even get into martial law being put in that town, I ought to open this back up and tell you guys this, because I don't think I actually have it coming up in the stack, but I was reading about it and it's unconfirmed. But down over here right now, there's reports of attack helicopters roaming the area. Right? So that video of all of those Molotovs and stuff I just showed you were right up over here outside of Tehran. But now down over here, as of about an hour and a half ago, they got attack helicopters and shit circling the area. So I got a feeling that they're going to be just waxing Kurds with freaking helicopters, to be perfectly honest with you. That's how bad this has gotten. I don't remember in the past hearing about like attack helicopters circling around freaking cities. As of right now, there is approximately 35 people that have been killed. And that's a rough estimate based on OSINT, right? 35 people killed based on OSINT. We don't know. Reports last night started coming out about how many people, like people were actually getting shot. I went over to Kamini's Twitter account, and Kamini said that the protesters should be engaged with the protesters should be engaged with, like government forces, that they should be engaged in talks and things like that. But rioters are different. And last night, the order came out in order for them to start shooting the quote unquote rioters. So the question is, who's a rioter? And we're going to go over that here in a little bit. And I know, I see you, Ron John says weak numbers, they need to work on that. I think the helicopters are going to help a little bit in that number. When you have 2 cities, especially in Kurdish territory, man, I could easily see the regime going in there and just waxing an entire freaking city. But again, right outside of Tehran, you have martial law allegedly has been declared inside that town. So it looks like they're fortifying Tehran as best as humanly possible in the surrounding areas. Yes, I understand that we had 2,000 ICE agents rush over into Minneapolis and start rounding up more illegals, and they pulled a high-level gang member off the streets and all of that stuff, and all of that's great. But I'm telling you right now, Iran has already accused foreign intelligence assets of being behind this uprising. And Iran is orchestrating with Russia crap like I just played on your screen for you. Make no mistake about it. Those 2 nations, Iran and Russia, very much have an interest in causing a hell of a lot of mayhem over here in the United States of America. Much more than some illegals and some Somali fraud that's taking place over there. I told you guys my primary concern that I'm flexing to is national security for the United States of America. And these incidents that are currently taking place are reshaping the Middle East. What we just did in Venezuela, what a lot of people do not realize, what we just did in Venezuela was kind of like the Achilles heel for China and Russia by ripping Maduro out of power. And this taking place over inside of Iran is taking out decades of work for the IRGC and terrorists. And while people here like Earth Angel down in the comment section says we haven't seen anything yet, you have nailed it, sir. We haven't. If, and I don't think it's really a question after having Corey on from the GOAT Initiative the other night, sitting there telling you guys about all this crap. Yeah, I think we got a lot of problems in the future because you start, my old man told me, there's 3 things in a man's life that you don't mess with. His money, his family, and his food. Money, family, and food. And I know I've repeated this over and over and over. You don't mess with the man's money, you don't mess with their family, and you don't mess with their food. What do you think we're doing in all of these countries? We are messing with China's money, we are messing with their food, and we're certainly messing with what they would consider to be family. And same thing with Russia. When we start chopping these legs out, when we start chopping the legs out of the IRGC, what do you think? In my opinion, this is how it's going to begin, right? And so we need to keep a very close watch on all of this stuff. And by the way, if you don't think that the Iranians don't see it that way, I want you to take a look at this. That's like, they are renaming streets in Iran. In some of these cities, they're going over to the street signs in Iran and they're slapping frickin' what I'd call bumper stickers over the street names and over several other places and renaming them after frickin' Donald Trump. This one says, Trump, Iran is waiting for you. Check this one out. Boom. Trump, Iran is waiting for you. Why do they say that? Because Trump came out and said, if they start killing protesters, we're locked and loaded and we're ready to go. Just today, more information had came out that numerous aerial refueling tankers of the United States military are currently en route to the Middle East, according to OSINT and Flight Radar and all of that other crap. All right, you can see lots of them that are going over there. Somebody leaked that members of SOCOM, we're just going to call them pipe hitters, had arrived on the ground over inside of Iraq. So, not only do you have pipe hitters that are on their way over there, but you also have refueling tankers, which are huge, obviously, that you need for bombing. You know what Khamenei is talking about doing right now? He's actually talking about launching preemptive strikes against the United States of America. There's information out right now that suggests that Israel, within 72 hours, in conjunction with the United States of America, may be bombing the hell out of Iran. 72-hour window, and we've got major terror threats that are coming out towards the United States of America. So you can sit back and you can worry about frickin' Juan and Julio running around Minneapolis while Ilhan Omar lines her pockets with frickin' taxpayer money, or you can pay attention to real global threats. That's fraud. Those are illegal aliens, and some of those illegal aliens, in my opinion, is exactly why ICE is conducting the operations that they are over here in the United States. They're going around and rounding up as many people as humanly possible because stuff is going down around the world. And as some of you guys have stated, sleeper cells and things of that nature, yes, we have to be concerned about those. We do. Absolutely. And in my opinion, that is exactly why DHS has hit everything as hard as humanly possible. All right? This stuff, ladies and gentlemen, do not take it lightly as I go over and present this information to you as we go over it today, because it's a lot of crap. You guys are asking like what it looks like. Remember that those 2 cities, those Kurdish cities that I showed you up over on the map, and you're like, why is this different than any of the other protests in history? This is why. This is why. This entire city has been taken over. Al-Shabaab, and I see you guys, if money's going to Al-Shabaab, it's important. I agree with you. If money's going to Al-Shabaab, it's important that we take care of it. All right. And some of you guys might not know this or not, but because I know so many of you guys out there hate Israel, and I know some of you guys out there hate your own country in the United States of America or Europe or wherever you're from. Something that barely made the news the other day was Somaliland got officially recognized by Israel, which is insane to think within itself. Somaliland ends up getting recognized by Israel. Great. Why should you care? Well, got to go back over to our good old friend Google Maps to explain this crap to you guys. All right. Oh, well, that jumped really fast, way quicker than I wanted. All right, so when we're talking about Somaliland being recognized by Israel, and now we have F-35s over there, and obviously we're talking about Iran right now. All right, Johnny44 boy says Iranian government plane just popped up in Tehran. Right. I'm telling you, man, they're going to start flying sorties over some of these cities. They're saying that they're worried about air power and everything else. So why should you care about that? Because I think it was like a week or two ago that they ended up recognizing it. Now we got F-35s flying over there. Well, Iran, right? What we're talking about up over here, Iran, right? Iran is shipping, all right, all of their weapons and equipment that are making their way into Yemen via Somalia. And by Israel and the United States and everybody else that's going to get on board with this, by recognizing Somaliland, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that gives us operational authority and approval through freaking joint operations and status of forces agreements, et cetera, to be able to go in there and start taking out some of these nut jobs. What you are seeing systematically all across the Middle East is the Iranian regime being toppled. And I don't feel like putting that graphic back up on the screen that I always did. But you've up at the top, you've got Russia and China. Right below them, you've got Iran. Then you've got Venezuela, you've got Yemen, and you also have Hezbollah over inside Lebanon. Iran dealing with Yemen, Iran dealing with Hezbollah over inside Lebanon, and, of course, let's not forget Venezuela. All three of those countries, ladies and gentlemen, are tied to Iran, right? All three of them, Lebanon, Venezuela, and Yemen, and of course Somalia, are all tied to Iran. Iran has been laundering money for China through Venezuelan oil sales. When the U.S. started seizing those tankers, we started impacting Chinese yen. And we started impacting their economy. The other thing that's taking place right now with us going over to topple Iran is we're messing around with Russia. Russia, for those of you that don't know, has been supplying the freaking nuclear scientists that have been enriching their uranium over inside of Iran. We waited and we held off on those strikes for so long because the United States was busy trying to negotiate with Russia about not bombing the crap out of their freaking nuclear scientists. They had to take them all and shove them into one little tiny location before we bombed the crap out of Isfahan. All right? If we ended up killing freaking Russian scientists, there would have been freaking a shitstorm, which is where Greenland comes in, which I'm going to touch on here in just a minute. But there would have been hell to pay if we ended up doing that. I'm here for the graphic. Bring it up. Thanks. Dude, I'm not doing the graphic again tonight, man. I did it like the last 5 freaking shows in a row just to try to explain this to people as they come in. But if Iran, all right, gets taken out, you are affecting both China and you're affecting both Russia. Remember that video I played first time we come on here? We were talking about affecting Russian dollar. Now, Iran also has been providing technology and weapons to Russia for the war over inside of Ukraine. At one point in time, 30% of the aerial munitions crossing the border from Russia into Ukraine came from guess where? You nailed it, Iran. All right. So if you don't think that when we hear people with freaking Slavic voices, all right, let me get back up over here and pull this up. When you hear things like this,
many people will die. We will kill in every way possible. Shooting, bombing, cutting. We will be as
I hope it makes sense why that man has a Slavic voice, all right? It's not because Russia loves us. It's not because China is our best friend, all right? These people are getting financed, paid, marketed, like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, through these different locations. So it's a big deal, and I hope you guys take all of this crap very, very seriously. Now, again, like I said, that was the first city that ended up getting taken down. And here is that same city, and I want you guys to see this. All right. For all of those that were like, hey, man, that last video was AI. Cool. This one isn't. All right. Up here on this rooftop, you've got police officers that are surrendering and coming over to the protesters. So while you guys might think that none of this stuff is intertwined, again, there's a city I just told you about whose name I can't pronounce because normally it's written in squiggly and it doesn't translate over to English writing very well. But there's your police officer staying on the roof. Again, these cities over there. Plum, Bayonet, DFW area. Yep. DFW area. I went back. I lifted off all the schools. Galleria, Dallas, 12 different area schools, etc. are all under threat from this group who I'm going to hold to myself because they're currently under investigation. But in my opinion, this is why you are seeing these things. All right. No, this is not Dallas. This is not Dallas for those of you guys that are just now entering, but it is all connected to the terror threat that I went over at the beginning of the stream. You guys can say Islam is lame, etc. But point being, what you have here that's taking place in Iran with the Ayatollah about to be ripped out of freaking power in the United States, locked and loaded, just like our good friend from Texas down there, Texas Gidget, had just said. That is why we're seeing this crap. All right. The literal weight behind Russia and China is being ripped away as these cities begin to crumble over inside of Iran. Iran has been financing terror. It's been financing and supplying Russia, and it's been financing and supplying China with Venezuelan crude and likely a ton of other crap that I don't even know about. So I want you guys to pay attention to all this stuff as it's up here on your screen. Yeah, pay attention to the illegal immigrants. Pay attention to that. Also understand why it's happening. All of this stuff, ladies and gentlemen, is intertwined, right? All of it. There's not a coincidence at this point in time as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've got a huge spiel that I wanted to read to you guys about the updates from day 10 from a gentleman over inside of Iran. He says, by every minute measure, day 10 marks the largest and most widespread day in Iran's new uprising. Protests spread across Tehran's bazaars, not only the Grand Bazaar, but multiple others. He says Khamenei tried to frame bazaar merchants as loyal due to their role in the 79 revolution. Their defiance now is a major blow for him. In Tehran, merchants didn't just strike, they left the bazaars and moved into the main streets. When protests were mostly pushed into the night, demonstrators returned to the daytime hours as well, which is a significant shift in the escalation. And this is all his eyewitness accounts that ended up going over there. The regime has been using shotguns with pellet ammunition, and that accounts for the video that I showed this morning of the guy's face that was just ripped to frickin' crap. So far, approximately 25 to 35 people have been killed. Again, that's based on OSINT. Families of those killed are told they can only receive their loved ones' bodies if they claim the victim was a besieged member or agree to burials without public funerals. Now, in Islam, you've got to bury the person that's dead lickety-frickin' split, and the regime's holding on to the bodies. That is horrible for those people. Regime media is out there pushing a discouraging narrative, claiming that if Trump intervenes, he would not allow Crown Prince Raza to lead a post-regime government. Imagine that. Employees at Voice of America Persian Service say the new dictator has verbally told staff that the videos showing support for Raza inside of Iran are fake and or dubbed, and that all guests must be approved by him. Staff say that these orders are deliberately verbal, leaving no paper trail, and they are unsure how to report the issue. Regime media are also widely amplifying any foreign media reports that predict the regime will not collapse as a result of these protests. And they just get worse and worse as you kind of go along. So all of these things are happening over inside of Iran. They're controlling the media. They're controlling the narrative, trying to tell people. Meanwhile, we have videos like this one that are also on the rise. Now, I'm assuming none of you guys can speak squiggly. Most of you, maybe some of you can if you're Iranian, and if you are, you speak Persian, and I got it, all right? But I don't speak Persian, so I speak American. This guy, allegedly, what he's saying is telling the protesters to stay out in the streets and don't give in to the regime, and that the police forces are going to be behind them here in just a little bit. And we've already seen at least two cities where the police have collapsed. We've seen multiple other cities where police stations have been overran. This is a big deal. All right. If there is going to be a strike by Israel and the United States of America, it's likely to come sometime in the near future. That is going to support regime force. Is going to support the people on the ground that are fighting against the regime forces. And I have a feeling that they're going to directly go after the Ayatollah, that man is going to be wiped off the freaking face of the planet and turned into pink mist and cause even more confusion. And the moment the Ayatollah is wiped out, I got a feeling that we're going to go right back after the enriched uranium and bomb the crap out of that. And then whatever happens, happens. Just like over inside of Venezuela, I don't think it's a mistake, and we're going to talk about here in a minute, that the United States is now trading oil with Venezuela and demanding that the Venezuelan people end up cutting their ties with Russia and China. Again, not just China, not just Iran, Russia and China. Why? Because Venezuela has been their money laundering pit for a while. That same area that I told you guys about where the cities got taken over, guess what happened? The regime forces decide that they're going to start moving in there in full force. So not only do we have aircraft overhead, allegedly, but look at all these freaking dudes out there on the street. Yeah. That's a lot of dudes, man. That's a lot of bros that's moved out there. Look at that guy just giving a good old freaking desk pop as he goes for a walk. Ladies and gentlemen, if America decides to intervene, Iran is likely going to activate their terror cells, and so is Russia. And if you don't think Russia has them, think twice. All right? We are in a freaking Cold War conflict with all of these other freaking nations as proxies. All right, and it's impacting the global dollar. All right, on a lot of different scales. I heard earlier today, haven't been able to verify it, that China ended up printing off a buttload of money to continue to purchase silver. If you haven't noticed, the price of silver is continuing to rise. It's up above $80 the last I checked. I saw it get as high as 83 today as far as the spot price goes, and futures trading above 82. All right, and that was after the market closed. So if the price is continuing to rise, it's rising for a reason. China's going to continue to print money. They're going to continue to store that metal. And I ended up bringing up a story earlier today. The freaking Department of War put billions of dollars into a freaking smelter to refine critical minerals. The Department of War partnering up with major freaking metals companies in order to make it happen. All right? This is a battle of the monetary system. They're going after oil and they're going after critical minerals in order to force the other countries into collapse. And if you don't think that freaking Iran is a key role in our key adversaries' money laundering, ladies and gentlemen, you're wrong. I think this time around, Iran, particularly when somebody had asked me earlier, well, what makes this so different? Iran's going to get the support they need. Have no doubt about it. Iran's going to end up getting the support they need at this point. This was not something that happened overnight. This is not the U.S. going, an uprising. Great. Maybe we should react to this. No, this is the international community. This is likely U.S., intelligence agencies and frickin' Mossad. They've coordinated this crap over time to cause this stuff to happen. All right. Yvonne says, Matt, do we have enough ammunition to supply multiple areas of conflict? Matt, do we have enough ammunition to supply multiple areas of conflict? Same question twice. Copy and paste is one hell of a tool, right? Yes, we do. But the question is how sustained can it be? United States, and this is not anything that I'm divulging that's not already known, all right? This is open source information. We also have multiple ammo depots and storage around the freaking world, right? And a lot of these different host nation countries, and that includes nuclear weapons, by the way. Question is, how long can it last? We would eventually need to be able to ramp up our freaking production. We would, right? We have to be able to ramp up our production. U.S. has laws that allows us to do that. And I think that us trading freaking oil, right, and using oil as leverage is a much better tool than using bombs. This is a battle for the U.S. dollar that's going down right now in the world stage. And I don't think most Americans can honestly grasp it, which is why I don't think a lot of news stations even bother digging into it, covering it, etc. This is the subway systems over inside of Tehran. I want you to listen to them very carefully. Now, I know, again, like I'd stated, most of you guys that don't speak squiggly probably can't make out what it is. But what they're saying is it's the last battle, and Pahlavi is going to end up returning, or the Shah is going to end up returning over to Iran. And just back in November, we had 2 Iranian officers that were holding up the old school flag over inside of the subway that quickly got whisked away by regime forces. And that was after multiple videos had been released by Iranian military officers stating that they were defecting and encouraging others to do so as well. Some of you guys are calling me the brand new supply sergeant. No, I'm not a supply sergeant, man. I just know how to read a freaking world stage, right? I've been doing this crap long enough to be looking out for different things that's going to cause people to go off and for the world to start like uprising. And that's exactly what we're seeing. One of you guys had commented and said, well, you know what, man, the oil prices have dropped. You're right. U.S. oil prices have dropped, and they've dropped for a reason. And like cost per barrel of crude oil has freaking plummeted as well. And what you also have to understand is that 30% of Russia's GDP comes from crude oil. The sale of oil and refined petroleum products, 30% of Russia's GDP. How do you think they finance their war? With us putting a bunch of sanctions against Russian oil, other countries aren't going to buy it. And countries like China, who end up being one of their largest buyers, in India, guess what? Great, you got BRICS nations that are buying it from you. You think China is going to pay top dollar to frickin' Russia? Do you think India is going to pay top dollar to Russia for their oil just to give them a handout and a freaking keepsake? Do you think China is actually friends with Russia, or do you think they're frenemies? Do you think China and Xi wants to be on top of the world, or do you think they want Russia to be? China's not stupid, right? As long as the price per barrel of oil drops, so does the Russian economy, and so does their ability to conduct warfare. And with Putin not coming to the table, and with Trump openly stating that he's not happy with Putin, he's pissed at Putin, yeah. There's a reason we went into Venezuela. There's a reason we ripped out Maduro. Oh, my Lord. Dylan says the Maduro mission was a badass. That time we stole Hind from Russia in 1988. Operation Mount Hope 3, I believe. Stay safe, Nanner Gang. Ozzy Mick says, smile more. Keep safe, Nanner Gang. Dude, Ozzy, you need to continue to smile more, and you need to continue to stay safe because y'all got freaking problems over there as well. All right, let's not pretend like the Bondi Beach massacre didn't just occur the other day. Check this crap out. All of that's pouring out over there that you guys see going across the street. You've got tear gas, smoke, tons of freaking people, and all that other freaking garbage that's going down over inside of Tehran. More images and whatnot coming out of there. Heavy crowds, everything. Everybody's taken to the freaking streets. Islamic regime in Iran opening fire in mass. Now, I'm not sure if it's opening fire on them in mass in this video. I'm trying to remember the sound and audio clips that go into it because I always prepare a buttload of these clips for you guys. But go ahead and give this one a listen. Now, as we saw in that earlier clip, when the regime forces ended up showing up to like crush some of these protesters, it could be that they're shooting shots in the air, but they're probably shooting some people while they're going at it. All right, like I said, up to 35 people so far as we know, according to OSINT, have died, but it's probably more than that. All right, like just based on what's going on right now. Let's see here. Neil Cole says low oil prices about to bankrupt oil in Kansas. Yes, sir. And not just Kansas, and lots of other places. I was talking with a buddy last night who is familiar with the oil industry that ended up telling me that this is kind of a cyclic thing. When oil prices end up dropping, that you have a bunch of overhead costs that they start cutting, et cetera, in order to kind of like keep up with it. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, the U.S. driving these freaking prices down with things like this is what's hurting the Russian economy. Taking out Venezuela and taking out Iran and removing the Iranian regime, removing the Ayatollah, that is going to hurt the Russian economy, and it's going to hurt their warfighting efforts. All of that is going to cause those different freaking Russian terror organizations, like I just showed you, to come onto the scene and start causing havoc over here in the United States. Been there, done that. Says, why don't retired Delta guys write books like Navy SEAL guys do? I don't know, man. You're going to have to ask a CAG operator, not me. I'm just a lonely Green Beret. But probably because they have pride is what I would end up assuming. Now, with all of that being said, as we look at it, Marco Rubio went out and he ended up telling Congress today that one of his top priorities is going to, like for 2026, one of the top priorities for the Trump administration is going to be purchasing Greenland. Denmark's not happy about it. The UK is not happy about it. They're both kind of pissed off. What you're looking at right here is an overhead map, all right, that lays out where Russia tends to store a lot of its freaking ballistic missiles. And if you're going to attack the continental United States of America, all right, like the lower 48, if you will, of North America, if you're going to attack continental United States of America and you're Russia and you're going to send ballistic missiles at us, guess what those ballistic missiles are going to fly over? Linda Lou says, how is our friend in Texas doing, Matt? I think our friend in Texas is doing pretty good. Or how's our friend Texas? Texas doing good. He's overworked right now. I'm not going to lie. The dude's tired. They're fighting their butts off over there. Dude's freaking tired. Here you go. He came out and he said that we want to purchase Greenland. It's going to be one of our major freaking deals over there. And it's marked up on the screen right up over here, right in the middle. It says Denmark. Denmark runs that place, right? They say it's vital for national security. Trump got asked about it on an Air Force One flight. And he ended up saying that all we see going in and out of frickin' Greenland is Russian and Chinese frickin' ships. I promise you that's not it. When you start looking at ICBMs and how they're going to be shot at the United States of America, Greenland falls right underneath it. All right? If we are going to interdict those ballistic missiles, we want to do it up at the apex. We want to do it on a predictable flight path. We sure as shit don't want to do it when they're doing like Mach 8 heading down towards the United States of America. We want to do it as they're on their way up, kind of like arcing or whatever, like easier to interdict, less followed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Greenland. That's where that is. In my opinion, that's why they want to get it. And if there is ever a freaking sign that you ought to be worried about Russia because of everything that's going on around the freaking world, this is it for you. Abby Asman. Canada's oil industry is panicking too. Well, yeah, U.S. is driving the prices down to screw Russia over. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. Heltz Lazy says, thanks, Matt. All of these other creators are worried about Candace Owens. You bring the real shiznit. Thank you. Well, you are welcome. Hey, it's Lazy. You are very welcome. That's what I try to do for you guys. Oddball says, all I'm saying, payback's a biatch, ain't it? Yeah, it is. I honestly don't know if Russia's going to end up surviving this at the end of the day. I really don't. And I don't know if, I think China is going to end up surviving it. I don't know if Russia's going to end up surviving it. They've kind of put themselves between a rock and a hard place. Now, if you're looking at this and going, hey, Matt, the United States is $39 trillion in debt almost. How do we intend on paying for all of this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad you asked, because I would like to ask the very same question. How would we intend on paying for it? And then Trump ended up putting this out today. I am pleased to announce that the interim authorities in Venezuela will be turning over between 30 and 50 million barrels of high-quality sanctioned oil to the United States of America. This oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me as the President of the United States of America to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. I have asked Energy Secretary Chris Wright to execute this plan immediately. It will be taken by storage ships and brought directly to unloading docks in the USA. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Yeah. So we robbing Peter to pay Paul comes to mind. I don't know what else to say about that. Trump admin wants to purchase Greenland. That is now a very real thing. What used to be kind of a joke, what used to be what people looked at as silly, has now become a national security matter. This is likely going to happen. But again, Denmark, they're not happy about it. RDL Snare says, I wouldn't be surprised if China invaded Russia after it collapsed and reclaimed Siberia and other parts of Russia for its oil reserves. I wouldn't be surprised either, because China is pretty dependent on the rest of the world for a lot of their economy. Now, here's the interesting thing about China. Not only has China been stocking precious metals, because the Chinese aren't stupid, not only has China been stocking precious metals, they've also been stacking up oil reserves. So this oil crisis that Russia is currently dealing with, how it's impacting their GDP and how the U.S. is like literally diluting the market, et cetera, isn't really going to affect China. They've got like 6 to 12 months to figure this crap out before they really start feeling any pain or strain from that. So China's positioned quite well in the world. China is positioned quite well in the world when it comes down to them protecting themselves against this oil problem that we see. But, United States also, I guess, we are positioned quite well because, well, hell, we're just going to sell Venezuelan oil. Why? Because we had a deal go bad in the 60s and we ripped frickin' Maduro out of power because that's what we can do legally. Now, here's the other thing that Trump ended up coming out with today. Trump demands Venezuela kick out China and Russia, partner only with U.S. on oil. You heard that right. And this is why I think that maybe, just maybe, there was an actual coup that was there in frickin' Venezuela. That this vice president was probably in on this crap. So was some of his security forces, like Maduro's security forces that are currently going to push other people back, and why the U.S. isn't really doing a dash gun thing about it. Because as you look right here, not only do we have Trump coming out saying that we're getting billions of frickin' barrels of oil or whatever the hell it was, it equates to like trillions upon trillions of dollars, by the way, for the United States of America. Not only did he come out and state that, not only did Rubio come out and state that we're going to be buying Greenland, but then we have Trump pressuring Venezuela to kick Russia and China out. How about them apples? Now, how pissed off do you think that's going to make Putin, and how pissed off do you think that's going to make China? Because the day that the vice president got sworn into the president's office, I forget that lady's name, she went over and she was shaking hands with Chinese and Russian delegates. And why do you think that they were there to shake her frickin' hand? Why? This is critical to both of their economies. Everything that they're doing. Very, very critical to both of their frickin' economies. And if we end up cutting them out, we end up giving them a huge frickin' black eye. And I don't think it's a mistake that Maduro got ripped out of power. I don't think it's a mistake that the new frickin' president just magically wants to do deals with the United States of America, and we're trying to kick Russia and China out at the same time we're going over to take out Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, all of this crap is very serious, and all of it directly ties back into everything that we're dealing with over here in the United States on a daily basis. And that brings me back to the opening of this program, which is why you guys should be concerned with everything that's going on around the globe, not just what's happening over inside of Minneapolis or frickin' California or down in Texas or Florida or North Carolina. You guys need to pay attention to what's going on in the world, because right now the world politics are kind of dictating all the crap that's happening. Big Frog 2008 says, what's the chance the people of China uprise too? Zitch, as far as I'm concerned. I don't see it happening unless We have done some wild stuff that I wasn't even tracking. And for that, I'm going to need to bring in a Chinese expert, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon because the Chinese people still have freaking jobs, blah, 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 blah. Even though they got the housing crisis and they're looking at going after Taiwan, which is a whole other story that I talked about. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I was talking, or the day before, talking about Taiwan and how China ended up going around and surrounding that sucker, signifying to the United States that, guess what? They don't care. They might actually take Taiwan. Because Taiwan produces the microprocessors that we need in all of our freaking technology. The very way I'm talking to you right now through the internet, my freaking computer, my cell phone, all of these different freaking monitors, all of the data centers, etc. Not only do they use all of that silver that China is currently holding on to, but if they take Taiwan, they got the microprocessors. How bad does that hurt our defense industry? Well, it hurts it bad enough to where the Department of War is investing billions into a brand new smelter, likely to start clearing out some of those minerals from over inside Venezuela. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. As always, I'm your host, Matt Tardio. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you guys like and follow every single day, twice a day. You guys will catch me live over here. Peace, love, happiness, God bless. And like always, I'm out of here. And remember, with the video I'm about to show you, it's a freaking problem until the authorities come out and state otherwise. Welfare check on Taiwan? Nah, Wyatt. Ain't no welfare check over in Taiwan.
Many people will die. We will kill in every way possible. Shooting, bombing, cutting. We will be as cruel as possible. We do not care about gender.